All right, hi everybody. Welcome to the Intro to Programming Student Orientation. My name is Mary Alice Moore. I'm the class coordinator for Code the Dream. So I handle getting students onboarded, answering questions as far as like process questions throughout the class. Your mentors will handle all the technical questions. And just reach out to me if you have questions about, where to go from here, where do I find this particular tool that I need, anything like that. That's what I'm here for. So we'll go ahead and start rolling with our orientation. So let me share my screen. Okay, can everybody see that okay? Just give a thumbs up. Okay, perfect. All right, and pardon any interruptions. I do have to admit people in as they arrive too, so I might have an interruption here or there. Okay, so Intro to Programming, Student Orientation, May 18th. So you'll notice that it has Bestla Borr Intro to Programming on this very first slide. We have two different types of lesson materials, all covering the exact same content. And so based on what your answers were for your learning style in the student acceptance form that you filled out for us will be which version of the Intro to Programming class that we offer you. But again, it covers all of the same concepts. Both of them are very thorough as far as how they cover all of that content. We're just trying out new material to see where we might need to supplement information out of either version of that material. And I'll go over more details about how they're the same and how they're different throughout the presentation this evening. If you have any questions throughout, feel free to put the questions up in the chat. You can get to that by the bottom of your screen when you're in your Zoom window. There should be a little chat bubble there. So feel free to post any questions that you have in there, and I will try and answer them as I see them rolling through, and we'll definitely have a question and answer session at the end, so that way if anybody has any questions, then we can get those covered and make sure you're all ready to roll for when your class starts next Wednesday. All right, so thank you everybody for joining us. This is what our breakdown of our orientation is going to look like roughly. I'll break you out into breakout rooms just for about 3 minutes, long enough for you to be able to just introduce yourself to a couple of other classmates. You're welcome to share your name, your pronouns, your location like you did in the chat. You can say, what you're most excited about, how you heard about us. You can talk about your favorite game or your favorite book or what show you're watching these days or whatever you want to, just to kind of break the ice and get to know each other. And if you want to exchange any email addresses, you can. If you don't want to, that's fine. There'll be plenty of opportunity and resources to be able to connect with your classmates throughout the class. All right. We'll go over our organization in case anybody didn't attend any of the live Q&As, just so that way you understand who we are and how we're structured. And then we'll dig into the class as far as like what your tools are, what the curriculum covers, roles and expectations, what the class flow is like. And then after a short break, then we'll do a class preview where we're going to dig in and you'll actually get visuals on what does the class website look like? How do I get to it? How does that take me to my lessons? Where do I find my assignments? All of that good stuff. We'll talk about CTD culture, or Code the Dream culture, and also cover helpful tips as far as like learning tips and time management and that kind of thing. At the end, question and answer. All right, so let's go ahead and split you into breakout rooms. I'm going to stop sharing real quick, and I'm going to pause. Welcome back, everybody, and let's continue our orientation.
That was too short.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep you all from going too far over an hour. And it kind of depends on what group you're in. Some folks will talk and some folks are a little quieter. So we'll see how things go. All right, can everybody see the agenda? Okay. All right, good stuff. Okay, so we'll move right along. All right, so Code the Dream, in case you aren't familiar with us, although you probably have looked at a lot of our material and or been to one of like our live Q&A sessions during the application process. Our mission statement is to create opportunities that change lives, build technology that benefit our communities, and support diversity that drives a more just and innovative world. And so we go about that in a very unique model. We offer free classes, all of which you are now students of once we start the class next Wednesday. And we like to have a nice diverse population of students. So you'll notice a lot of different faces, a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of different experience levels, age groups. We really like to have as diverse a group as possible because that diversity brings in such fresh perspectives and can really be more innovative than if you have a whole bunch of people from the same background working to solve a similar problem. By having that diversity, then it benefits the tech community because you are able to get more creative solutions and you're able to craft your websites and applications to be able to be more accessible to people from different backgrounds and different ability levels, and just really kind of reach out to everybody. And that's sort of the whole purpose of technology, is to be able to make life easier and to reach out and connect everyone. Um, so hopefully this will be a good opportunity for you. Please keep in touch with me throughout your class if you have questions about where to find things or if you need help with anything. We want to make sure that you're getting what you need. Our school side of our organization are those free intensive classes in web development. And the school part is very different from a lot of other schools that you may have already experienced in your life. So we're sort of a flipped organization where you're going to wind up doing a lot of your lesson material studying on your own, and then you come to your mentor sessions with questions. So your mentor sessions aren't going to be like a structured lecture format like you see in a lot of high schools or colleges, where you have somebody kind of talking at you to explain what's going on, and then you go home and do your further study. You're doing the majority of the study on your own, and then you bring your questions to somebody live that can kind of help make sense of any of the confusing parts to you. The other side of our organization is CTD Labs, Code the Dream Labs, and they are a dev shop that's working on real world projects and giving students who graduate through our intro and advanced level classes real world experience on those real world projects through paid apprenticeships. I'll talk a little bit more about that later on, so that way you know, what do I do after intro class? Well, that'll help answer that question for you. Again, if y'all have any questions, then feel free to put them up in the chat. And or ask them when we get to the question and answer section at the end. All right, so let's talk about your class path a little bit. You've already done the application process, you've been accepted into the classes, and you all are starting at the intro level class. It's a 16-week class, and it's going to build sort of your foundational skills in JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and give you sort of a beginner's level understanding of APIs, which are how data sources talk to and present and transfer information to things that users see and interact with. So if you go to a website to shop for something and you look at their product catalog, all of that product catalog information is stored somewhere on a back end in a server. That's where all their data is held. And then that information gets transferred up to their app or their website that you're looking at and interacting with. And so all of those things and more will be going into more in depth throughout your class. Once the intro level class is done, we do offer advanced classes, and they are either front end, back end, or full stack classes, depending on what we're offering at that time. We usually try and have at least a back end and front end class available at the end of every intro class. So once you're completing your 16 weeks of your intro foundational skills, there'll probably be about a 3 or 4 week gap just to let you take a breather. And then you'll start into advanced classes as long as your work from intro shows that you're prepared and ready to tackle the advanced material. Throughout all of our classes, we have professional and personal growth opportunities. So we have a mindset curriculum that's kind of woven into your lessons throughout your intro class and your advanced classes. And they are topics that help build evergreen programmer skills. So it's going to be things about like troubleshooting, debugging, how to ask questions, where to turn to for help, being in the right mindset, what to do if you're just really frustrated with your code and things aren't working. All those kinds of things are covered in the mindset curriculum. Once you complete the advanced level classes, then you can move on to the CTD Labs apprenticeship, or you can start job hunting at that point. By the time you complete advanced classes, everybody should be skill level wise capable of being able to apply for entry level and internship positions out there in the tech industry. We only accept a small percentage of students because our development shop isn't a huge company like Google or Airbnb or Amazon. We're a smaller dev shop, so there's only about like 3 or 4 students out of each advanced group that we bring on into the apprenticeship, but everybody's welcome to apply for it. And we do provide resources to kind of help you with job hunting after the advanced level too. But our hope is, and our goal is, that once you're done with your intro and your advanced class, then you'll be able to start diving into a software developer job. So that way you can get into an entry-level position and work your way up. But we make sure that we cover all of the topics in our curriculum to be able to get you prepared for an entry-level position. All right, so the class path continued. We've done the applications. In the classes part, both in intro and advanced, we break our classes up into sort of these 5 categories or these 5 sections that make up your class. Your instructional materials, your assignments, so coding and mindset assignments, your mentor sessions, your community, and your final project. And we use the abbreviation you'll see in the blue letters there, mask off. It's just a cute, silly little abbreviation that we use to kind of help keep track of all of the content that goes into a class. So you'll work on those 5 things every week. There'll be, lesson materials that you'll cover, assignments that you'll build and work on, mentor sessions that you'll attend to help answer questions. You can reach out to your community when you have problems or if you just want to get to know each other. And then the final project you kind of build throughout your course. And that shows that you've understood everything throughout the course and are ready to move on to the next level. So the final project is kind of all encompassing your entire class. So after the advanced classes, then you can either do apprenticeship or software development job. If you move on to a software development job, we just ask that you remember the pay it forward that we had talked about in the application process and either donate your time by coming back as an assignment reviewer or a mentor helper or something along those lines to kind of help other students that are following in your footsteps. Or if you land a really awesome high paying developer job, then donate a portion of your salary back to Code the Dream. All right, so let's talk about who you all are. We only have a handful of the total students that we accepted into the class on our call tonight. We've got about 34 of you here. And we have a total of 74 students that were officially offered seats. And we've heard back from 68 of you so far. So this is going to be the biggest class that we've had, intro class that we've had ever in the history of our organization. And we're really excited to have you all being a part of our family and a part of our team. So 77% of those 74 students are people of color, 61% are women or non-binary, and 93% come from low-income backgrounds. The average age of all of you students combined is about 30, with the youngest being 18 and the oldest being 55. And you're spread across 18 states and a couple of countries. So we're very spread out and we're very diverse, which is what we love here at Code the Dream. But just keep it in mind as you're interacting with each other that people are coming from different walks of life, and be patient and be respectful and be very open to communicating to get on the same page as your peers and your mentors. All right, so I mentioned at the beginning, Bestla and Borr Intro to Programming. What's the difference between Bestla and Borr? So as I had mentioned, when you did your student acceptance form, then we asked what your learning style was. And if you're more sort of reading or visual and less like needing videos or needing to hear things explained to you, then you'll be put with the Borr class. If you're more visual, where you need to watch videos and hear people explain things, then you'll be put with the Bestla class. The only thing that's really different between these classes is what your lesson material content is. And it covers the exact same information. So both of them are going to be covering JavaScript arrays and functions, methods, variables, HTML, CSS, all of that's going to be covered. It's just in a different format. So kind of think of it as one class is going to be watching recordings, one class is going to be reading material, is the main primary difference between the two. So video-based versus text-based. All of the assignments are identical. So regardless of what lesson materials you're provided with, you're going to be given the same assignments to work through that'll help build some of those skills that you're learning in your lesson materials. The mentor sessions are going to be the same format. So it's an hour-long session. Each week you'll be given the schedule and you sign up for what sessions work best for your schedule that week. And you just meet with the mentor and get questions answered, talk through questions that you might have about the lesson materials or the assignment that's up for that week, or you can even talk about previous things and kind of review some material from previous weeks. There are different mentors for them, but you might see some crossovers. So if there is a student that is only available a Bestla student that's only available when a Borr mentor has availability and you all need to sync up for a one-on-one session to be able to help with any parts that are confusing, then that's perfectly fine. But just be aware you might be meeting with a mentor that is thinking you're with the Borr material, but you're actually with the Bestla material. So just be open to communicating with with your mentors as far as what lesson materials you're working off of and where your questions lie. Are we able to switch if we don't like the class style, was what David Rosales asked. Hopefully so. We need to kind of see where our numbers lie, because we do have a limited number of licenses for the Treehouse video-based learning. So we can't have a ton of people moving over to the Treehouse side since we have a limit as to the number that we can offer there. But we can, since Odin project, the text-based is open source, then we can have students move from Bestla to Borr. It might just be tricky if we have students moving from Borr to Bestla if we don't have spaces available with the Treehouse material. If you have some weeks where you don't have any questions for the mentors, it's fine for you to skip mentor sessions for the week if you don't have questions, but I usually encourage you to at least attend one, because there might be questions that come up that you didn't realize were a question that you had. So it's good to attend at least one mentor session a week. So that way you can get to know your peers and or see if maybe there's another way of solving something. I'm not able to have all students access both materials because of that license limitation on the Treehouse content. But all students can access the Odin project material if you need or want to. That is open source and anybody can get to that website. Okay, let's keep on going.
Really quick, Mary Alice.
Yeah, go ahead, Elliot. Elliot is one of our awesome volunteers and mentors that is working with us, and he is extremely familiar with all of the Odin project side of the content. So I just wanted to introduce him quick. Go ahead, Elliot.
Yeah, thank you. Excited to welcome y'all into the course. Just wanted to add on the attending mentor sessions. So the project and some of the materials are very baseline, and they're going to get you the foundation of the concepts that you're learning, but you're really going to be missing out on that more rich learning experience and being able to add extra things to your projects and sort of go beyond the basics and the foundation if you're not attending sessions. So as Mary Alice said, if you can try to attend one a week, even if you're on track with your assignment, even if you're submitting them early, it's really the mentor sessions are the benefit of going through this course with Code the Dream. And so make sure to utilize that time and take advantage of being able to ask questions or even answer questions for other students. That's very helpful too. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Elliot. It's always good to get sage wisdom from Elliot. All right, so class curriculum, some of the things I had mentioned that we'll be covering: JavaScript basics, functions, loops, arrays, objects, and then you'll also be going into GitHub, HTML, CSS, JavaScript in the DOM, AJAX, and API fetch. So those are the main topics, and obviously we'll dig more in depth into those throughout your course week by week. But I just wanted to kind of give you a quick overview. It's okay if some of these terms are completely foreign and unfamiliar to you. That's perfectly fine. That's why we have the class and break things out into lessons. You'll get to learn more in-depth information about each of these topics as the weeks go through the class. All right, so now let's talk about class tools. The websites, so that's going to be sort of like a main dashboard homepage where you can find all of your class content and kind of direct yourself around through the class. For the Bestla class, it's going to be learn.codethedream.org, and then you'll select Bestla as the class in the classes drop-down navigation menu. Borr, we're going to be providing you with a different dashboard, but I will be putting a link to that on our learn.codethedream.org website, so that way you'll be able to get to it as you need to. Anybody, no matter what class you're in, can do the learn.codethedream.org student resources site, which will help give you tips about, GitHub cheat sheets, JavaScript reference manuals, and just all kinds of helpful things. So if you're stuck and need to turn to somewhere for extra references, then all of that's available there. Learning materials. So as I had mentioned, the Bestla class will be having the teamtreehouse.com as the website for it, but it'll be Team Treehouse materials, which are a series of videos to be able to kind of talk and show you through information. And then the majority of our content for the Borr class comes from the Odin project. We do have some supplemental material in there as well, but most of it comes from the Odin project lessons foundations section of their site. They are an open source site that gives a lot of really great basic information, and it's in a very user-friendly format for beginners. We do take their foundations lesson, and we have it in a different order than how they present it in. So be sure that you're following your class dashboard to know that you're going in the right order of your lessons. But all of the information that you need or want to look up is available at Odin Project for that class. Assignments are the same for both classes. The first 5 weeks, you're going to be doing JavaScript assignments in Replit. And then from week 6 on, you're going to pull a repository from Code the Dream School's GitHub account. You're going to copy it over to your own GitHub account, and then you'll be working on your code in that little repository. So it's sort of like a cloud-based folder where you'll keep all of your schoolwork. And that's how you'll be working on your coding assignments throughout from week 6 on. Every week, you'll want to submit a link to your assignment, whether it's Replit or GitHub. Again, Replit will be the first 5 weeks, and GitHub is from week 6 on. And so you'll just send us a link to your work on the Squibby 2.0 web form. And it also covers some, excuse me, some other information. We like to get feedback from our students about, was this lesson too difficult, too easy? Was it too time consuming? Was it too short? So feel free to give us any information that you'd like to share in there. We do monitor the information that comes in from those web forms, so that way we can touch base with you if you're needing extra resources on a topic, if you had some questions, if there's things like that that we can be of assistance with, we want to be there for you. For community and communication, we use Slack as our primary form of communication. So you'll each be invited to our Slack workspace. Slack is a application to be able to communicate, kind of like a chat type of service. That can separate people out into groups and channels. So you'll be in channels for your particular class, but you can also direct message classmates or direct message mentors or things like that. So we'll be sending out those Slack invites to you this week. So feel free to go ahead and get comfortable with that in the week leading up to when your class actually starts. All of our class announcements will be posted in Slack. You'll see them on Mondays and Wednesday mornings. Mondays, we send out the mentor session sign up sheet for the upcoming week, so that way you can see when the mentor session schedule will be falling and coincide it with your own schedule. And then on Wednesdays, I send out links to what your lesson is, as well as to your mentor session and any other important announcements I'll send out to your class through Slack. We also are just starting a Discord server for those of you that aren't familiar with it. It's also a sort of chat connection, think social media, sort of like TikTok, sort of like Instagram, kind of. I'm probably not explaining this very well, but it's a resource for you to be able to collaborate with your peers and get to know each other. It's sort of like think of it as an online coffee shop for y'all to get together. So that will be starting up, and we'll be providing more information with that in the coming weeks. And then finally, for your mentor sessions, we use Google Sheets, which is just a spreadsheet for you to be able to sign up with which mentor sessions you're intending to participate in for the week, so that mentors know how many students to expect on their call. And then Zoom, how we're meeting right now, is how you'll meet for your mentor sessions. It's the same link every session. It is a different link depending on if you're in Bestla versus if you're in Borr. But it's just a matter of go ahead and click that link, and it'll connect you onto a Zoom call just like so, and you can ask your questions with the mentor there. Is there a problem if I finish all the curriculum in a couple of days? That's very good. I love that enthusiasm. I don't know that anybody will be able to finish all of the curriculum in a couple of days, but you're welcome to try. It's perfectly fine to work ahead. There is no harm in working ahead. If you fall behind, that's okay too. We want to meet you where you're at in your learning process. So if, 1 week you just have a really crazy life circumstance going on, then that's perfectly fine. If you get too far behind off track, then just talk to me, because I need to be aware of it, so that way we can let you know sort of how your path might change, because obviously advanced classes start at a particular time after your intro class ends. So if you're getting too far behind, you might have to wait and participate in the next advanced classes after the ones that come right after your intro class. But yeah, talk to me if you have anything where you're working really, really far ahead or you're falling far behind, and I'll be able to help answer any questions and get all that sorted out for you. All right, that covers our class tools, roles and expectations. So Code the Dream, as the organization that's hosting these classes, we set the curriculum, set up the videos, assignments, any supplemental materials. We get all of the curriculum portion organized and together for you. We communicate with mentors and students about timeline, when classes start and stop, how to submit assignments, where your materials are located, all of that kind of stuff. Handle all of the organizational aspect of it. And then we track your all's progress as you're going through the class to make sure that you're understanding your material and advance you on to the advanced classes once we know you're ready for that more advanced content. And then determine based on how you've been doing in class, whether or not you're ready for that next step. So that's our role in the whole process. Mentors will host a minimum of one hour long mentor session per week. Some of them have already signed up to do multiple sessions throughout the week. Some of them will be by appointment only mentors where you can just contact via direct message through Slack and say, hey, I just need some one-on-one help, or none of the mentor sessions worked at a time when I'm available this week. Can I meet with you to get my questions answered? That kind of a thing. They will take attendance and they'll report to us as far as who's been attending sessions. So that way we can kind of keep an eye on that. And they will notify you, or I will notify you if there's been any change to the mentor session schedule. Sometimes emergencies come up. So we'll communicate that in the Slack channels, as well as update the mentor session schedule spreadsheet if there's been any change. Mentors might be answering some questions that you post in those discussion channels on Slack. Students are also welcome to help each other out as far as answering questions or referring other classmates to resources that helped you when you were stuck on the same problem, that kind of information. The mentors are here to support you in your learning. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Yes, they are already developers. They're already out there in the tech world. So use them. They are an excellent resource. Reach out to them. They are a part of our organization because they want to be helping new students that are coming up through the ranks and learning the technology that they work with every day and enjoy and love. So a lot of them are extremely passionate and are excited to talk about any topic that you might be curious about. So feel free to reach out to them. And then for students, we expect you all to cover your learning materials each week, complete your coding assignments and your mindset responses, and then attend 2 mentor sessions a week. As we had talked about earlier, at least 1 mentor session a week. You are welcome to attend more if you want to. And of course, foster a supportive, encouraging, and helpful environment through respectful interactions, both with your mentors and with your peers and your classmates. As a reminder from the live Q&As and information that you probably saw on the website, expect it to be about 15 to 20 hours of work a week on your classwork. And that includes your mentor session, you working on your coding assignment, and then going through all of your lesson materials. So just manage your time wisely is the biggest key there. We had a question in the chat about sending credentials to access Treehouse. You do not need to sign up on Treehouse on your side. So we will create an account for you and send you the invite with the email address that you provided us. So for those of you who will be in the Bestla class and using the Team Treehouse information, expect to see an email that will help you with that setup. Do not pay anything for Treehouse. Your account is free through us. You will be finding out this week as far as if you're in Bestla or Borr, but in general, if you had answered reading as part of your learning style, then you will likely be in Borr. And if you had answered visual as your primary one and did not have reading as your learning style, then you'll be in Bestla. Other questions that are popping in for the apprenticeship, do students usually have to relocate or is it remote? It is remote. You do have to be residing within the United States or United States territory to be an apprentice. So if you are international, then you will not be able to be selected as an apprentice. So I just wanted to make that aware. And then you do not need to confirm whether or not you're in Bestla or Borr. We'll send out the information with all of the links to you, and you'll be put into the appropriate Slack channel too for which class you're in. Okay. Keep on rolling. So for the class flow, just to kind of give you an idea of what the class flow is going to be each week. Our class week starts on Wednesdays. So the very first day of class is going to be next Wednesday, the 25th. We'll post any announcements on the Slack channels that Wednesday morning for you to be able to read any announcements, look over your lesson for the week. There'll be a link to your lesson in that announcement, as well as a link to the mentor sessions in case you need to change up your schedule for which ones you're attending. And then Thursday through Sunday, you'll want to go ahead and start working through your lesson, cover your lesson materials. If you're able to get into your coding assignment or work on your mindset assignments, that's great. Monday, be sure that you read any announcements that we post Monday morning. That will be the link for the mentor session for that upcoming week. So the next Wednesday to Tuesday round. And then be finishing up your lesson and assignments. Tuesday, be sure that you're giving your assignments a final review and submit your work and any feedback about the lesson as far as if it was too short or too long or any of that kind of details. Throughout the week, attend 2 mentor sessions. When you have questions, feel free to post them in your class's discussion channel. And if you have any questions or observations or need help, then reach out as needed through Slack to be able to get in touch with folks. Okay, let's take a short little 3-minute break instead of a 5-minute break. It's about 7:40 right now, so we will see you all back at 7:43. I'm going to pause our recording as soon as I find my pause button here. All right, welcome back everybody from your brief break. We answered a couple of questions, but they were ones that we had talked about earlier in the session too. And again, the recording will be available and we can talk about these questions during question and answer session as well. There are some things that came in over chat during the break. Do we need to download a program like Microsoft Studio or CodeBlock? There isn't a particular one that you need to download. Most of our developers in Code the Dream use Visual Studio Code, but if you're already familiar with some type of coding program like Atom, or I can't even think of the other ones off the top of my head, then you're fine to be using whatever IDE you're most familiar with if you're already familiar with one. We do have resources on your 5th and 6th week about Visual Studio Code, how to download it and set it up, but it's nothing that you need to worry about right at the beginning of class. Everything for the first 5 weeks is kind of straight out of the box, so to speak, that as long as you have a browser, then you are good to go. Okay, and the other question we had is, will we get a certificate once we complete the intro program? Yes, we do offer a certificate of completion. A certificate of completion is not the same as a certification, so just be aware. There are topics within the tech industry that you can take a certification exam on, but there really isn't a ton in web development where there are standardized certification exams that you can take. That's not really something that you see in this industry, but you will get a certificate of completion that shows what the topics were that you were instructed on in the intro level class and how many hours you put into that program. So that way you can add it to your portfolio and or share it on your like LinkedIn profile page or things like that. Great questions. Okay, let's go ahead and get past that part. All right, so let's dig into this mask off part a little bit deeper so that way you can kind of get a visual on what these tools that you're going to be using throughout the class look like. So the first thing that we're going to cover is going to be lesson materials. This just kind of gives you a quick overview. We've already talked about a lot of these: Odin Project and Team Treehouse, learn.codethedream.org for the Bestla class, and then we'll have a separate site for Borr. We're still building that, but we will have it out to you this week. But it'll be a very similar format to what you're seeing on learn.codethedream.org, which I'll be displaying for you in just a moment. Assignments are Replit for the first 5 weeks. You can go ahead and create a Replit account prior to the class starting if you prefer to. You can also do it during your first week too. It's not any time sensitive issue there. And then GitHub, you won't need to create any kind of user account for that or anything until we get into week 6. But again, if you want to do that in preparation for the class starting, then go ahead and just create a GitHub account, but you won't need to do anything with it until we get further into the class. The mindset curriculum that I had talked about, where it's talking just sort of about general programmer concepts and skills, that's going to start on week 2. The first week, we want to just make sure that you're getting comfortable with where to find your lesson materials, where to find your assignments, how to submit your assignment, all of those kind of just general housekeeping things. So don't worry about mindset for week 1, nothing to do there. When you go to fill out your form, there'll be a little mindset field. You can just put NA or not this week or whatever. And we'll dig into that a little bit later as well. For your sessions, we're going to use the Google Sheets for you to sign up for your mentor sessions, and then Zoom for you to connect on your session. Community, Slack channels, and then you can also communicate with each other in whatever form works best. So if there are some classmates that you've exchanged emails with and you want to do that, if you want to text each other, we are going to be creating that Discord account. Like I had said, you all can connect on Discord if you want to. And then finally, oh, I forgot to take and practicum off of there. Final project. So for the intro class, you'll be building a final project from week 6 on. It's a portfolio website. And that'll be, you're learning as you're building it from week to week, and all of your weeks kind of build on each other. So be sure that you're understanding your material from the previous week before you move on to your next week's curriculum. Practicum is for the advanced students, so you can disregard my and practicum part there. All right, so let's talk about materials here. We've got the website and then the separate website that we'll use for Borr, and I'll be sending information about that this week. And it houses your course schedule and all of the links to your individual weekly lessons. So let's take a look at what those look like right now. Hold on, I just have to switch over to here. Okay, so learn.codethedream.org is our main school site. As you can see, we've got navigation up here, classes, it'll list what the classes are. Once I have a link to the Borr dashboard, then that'll be added here as well. But for right now, we've just got the Bestla class listed here. Class resources, this is the student resources I was talking about earlier. So if you want to go to find, GitHub cheat sheets, JavaScript reference materials, things like that, then you can find that in student resources. Front end versus back end gives you an idea of what that means as far as if you're working on something that's more client facing or something that's more data and server side facing. We've got example final project rubrics up for anybody curious about what is supposed to go into the final projects. All kinds of different tools. Once you get closer towards the end of your advanced class, we have a job seekers toolkit as well that kind of goes over things like resume building, LinkedIn profiles, sites to be able to use for job searching, all of that good stuff. And then the Code the Dream just links you to our main organization site. All right, so let's take a look at the class website. So for Bestla, this is what your class website is going to be looking like. We have a little welcome, and then here's your course calendar breakdown with your syllabus and schedule. So our very first week, week 1, is going to start Wednesday, May 25th, and the date due for the assignments will be Tuesday, May 31st. It's okay if there's a week here or there that you have to turn assignments in late. That's perfectly fine. We know things come up in life. We want you to try and stay as close to on schedule as possible, but if there's a reason that you can't stay as close to schedule as possible, then just contact me and we'll talk about ways to be able to get you back on track or keep you on a forward trajectory, so to speak. All right. It breaks it into sections. So the first 5 weeks, you're going to be talking about programming fundamentals, specifically just with JavaScript. Then you'll cover Git basics, how the internet works, and then web basics as far as like HTML and CSS, how the internet works and debugging, and then Ajax and API. So that's getting that data source pulled into a front-end web page, for example. So when you're ready to start your lesson, then you just click on your lesson 1.1 and it'll give you the details. So learning objectives or what you're going to be learning that week. And then materials, it'll be links to your material content. So these are links that take you to the Team Treehouse website, to that specific course track to be able to watch the videos and work through all of that content there. And then you'll have an assignment section, coding assignment, where it'll have a link that redirects you to wherever your coding assignment is, whether it's in Replit or GitHub. And then the mindset assignment, as you can see this week, we just want you to get settled in. Let me back up and we'll go to week 2 so that way you can see what it looks like. But in general, it's usually just a short couple of paragraphs to read. There might be a video or an article that we source out that you'll want to take a look at. And then there'll be prompt questions here that you'll want to answer. And they're just sort of journaling type questions to kind of get you thinking about what it means to be a programmer and how to approach programming. So that covers what the general format of your sort of class dashboard is going to look like. For students who are going to be in the Borr class, same kind of a thing. We'll have an identical breakdown as far as on your lesson information. You'll have your learning objectives. You'll have materials where it'll cover either links to the Odin project, or else it'll have Odin project copied and pasted in, so that way you can read through what the lesson materials are. They might have links to other resources like javascript.info or W3 schools or other good, reliable resources for learning content. So just follow those links to be able to work through those if there are any links that are in your lesson materials. And then again, there'll be a link for your coding assignment, information on your mindset assignment, and that covers sort of your lesson materials and your class dashboard site. Let me see if there's anything I'm forgetting from there. Oh, for Team Treehouse Bestla students, you're going to receive an invite for Team Treehouse this week. You do not need to provide any credit card information. You don't need to pay for this account at all, so put your wallets away. The lesson tracks will already be assigned to you, so it'll be easy to just click through on your dashboard to be able to work your way through your lessons. But you do have access to the other material that they offer. So if there's another topic that you're curious about and you want to see what their lessons are like on there, you have access to that. You can download the project files, the videos, video transcripts, so that way if you need or want to work offline, then you can do that. And the progress in Team Treehouse is recorded. So we can take a look and see, have you completed that section yet? Have you signed in? Have you not signed in? That kind of a thing, just to be able to kind of track your progress and reach out if it seems like you're falling behind. We reach out to be able to see how we can help you. You should have access to Team Treehouse for up to a month following the end of class. So your all's class is scheduled to end September 13th. So you'll still have access to Team Treehouse up until October 13th if you want to look back and review old lessons or download another video of a lesson topic that you struggled with that you'd like to have a copy of, things like that. Okay, for the Borr class, it's going to be that separate class website. You're going to be using the Odin project for your lesson materials, and you won't have or need access to Team Treehouse if you're a Borr student. All right, let me skip back over to here real quick to see if there's anything else I want. Oh yeah, so Team Treehouse, when you log in and you go to your home, then it'll have a little dashboard showing like what your tracks are as far as, you know, JavaScript basics or things like that. This first section is called JavaScript Basics. They break it down into sections of videos, and they're usually short little videos that you'll watch. And then they have either comprehension questions, or they might have like a little coding alongside challenge to be able to work through to make sure that you're understanding the material. So be sure that even though you're watching this 6-minute welcome video or whatever, there are other sections that you need to go through. So scroll down and make sure you're going through all of the little pieces that go into the Hello JavaScript portion, and then make sure you're covering those storing and tracking information. That part has 9 steps, so you'll work your way through those. Since it's broken down into so many pieces, it should be fairly easy for you to kind of time manage. You can take a look and be like, oh, good, all right, well, this is 6 and 2 and 5 and 2. I've got half an hour that I can spend looking through those videos right now. So kind of plan accordingly. You can get to, let me go to one of the videos just to kind of show you. Video transcripts are available here. So if you need to read while they're talking to you to kind of follow along a little bit easier, then you're welcome to do that. If you go to download section, you can download the video so that way you can watch it offline. So it has a lot of options for you there. They have like teacher's notes and questions, things like that, that are helpful extra resources if you need or want to look into those. For the Odin project, let me get back up here to the top. Sorry, I jumped down. So the Odin project foundations is a bunch of different sections. We're going to have you go in a different order than how they have this laid out. So we're going to have you cover JavaScript basics first, and all of this will be on your dashboard, so you'll know which sections to cover when. But we prefer that you cover JavaScript basics first and really get that nailed down, and then you'll see how JavaScript and HTML and CSS kind of all incorporate and work together as you get into those later in your coursework. But it's just a matter of reading through the content that we have posted there. As I had mentioned, sometimes they link out to other information. So like here's a variable tutorial. So you would click on there, it takes you to JavaScript info and kind of look through that variable tutorial. So that gives you kind of a quick preview of what your content looks like. There were a couple questions that popped into the chat. Let me answer those quick. Mentor sessions are for questions. They will explain some topics as well. So different mentors have different teaching styles. Some just want to cover questions and they kind of cover that extra topics as they're covering questions. Others might have a little bit more structure to it. It just depends on their teaching style. So feel free to jump to different mentor sessions if your availability allows that. If the only time you're free is for a mentor whose style it really isn't working for you, then just let me know, and that way we can kind of work on either rearranging schedules, or I can get in touch with one-on-one mentors to be able to meet with you at a time that works for you weekly, to kind of help you get connected with somebody that will help you learn. And then will the downloaded videos from Treehouse work after October 13th? Yeah, if you download the videos locally onto your computer, onto your hard drive or onto a flash drive, then yes, you have access to them even after October 13th. That is a great question. Thank you for putting that up. Okay. All right, so let's talk about assignments next. I'm sorry, I hope nobody's heads are spinning too wildly right now. A lot of content to cover, and I'm available through email or Slack chat once you have that set up, or whatever is easiest for you throughout the week as you lead up to your start time. So if there's questions that haven't been answered, then please reach out to me. We're going to talk about assignments next. So Replit for the first 5 weeks, GitHub from week 6 to the end. I kind of already showed you the mindset part. So let's go ahead and take a preview of what the Replit looks like. Replit, when you go ahead and create an account, then you can create your little username and give yourself an avatar. The links that we provide for the coding assignment links will redirect you to this particular assignment. This is your lesson 1-1 assignment. For all of them, most of them, we have a README, so it gives you an idea of, okay, here's the first assignment for programming fundamentals. These are the topics that you're going to cover. The Replit interface is on your first lesson to kind of give you an idea. So similar to your pre-work assignment that you did getting into the class, you've got a file structure here. Your assignment's going to be in the index.js. You're not really going to need to mess with any of these other files. So read through. Your instructions for what your assignment is are going to be in these commented out sections. There'll be some baseline code that's already built for you. There might be some code that you just have to write on your own that we don't give you a baseline for. So read through the question, make sure you understand it, kind of get an idea of how you're going to solve that particular question, and then go ahead and tackle it with the knowledge that you got from your lesson materials. And then it gives you breakdown as far as instructions for being able to run it, debug it, all of that good stuff. Your mentors are going to be available to kind of help you get comfortable with this interface as well. I have office hours, so if somebody wants to hop on a call quick and be like, okay, I'm here and I don't understand what I'm supposed to do, then just reach out to me and I can get on a call with you to kind of show you around as far as, okay, this is what this is where to find this, and we can work through it. So that's your Replit assignments for the first 5 weeks. And then from week 6 on, then you will have a GitHub repository that you initially make a copy of into your own account, and then you'll build on that. So if you see Code the Dream School, that means you're on our copy. And then, for example, here's mine, MA More Designs is my GitHub handle. So this is my copy of that Intro to Programming repository. So all of my work I put in here, for example. So whenever you're doing your pull requests to be able to kind of update your code as you're building from lesson to lesson, then you want to make sure that you're doing your pull requests and things to your account instead of to the Code the Dream School. The Code the Dream School one is just the blank slate one that everybody starts with. So we want to keep it as sort of an empty workbook, so to speak, and then your copy is the workbook that you write in. Hopefully that helps make a little bit of sense. All right. So then let's keep rolling. For sessions, Google Sheets is what we'll use for your mentor sessions, and you just add your name to the spreadsheet. In the event a mentor has to cancel or change their session, we'll notify you either in the announcements channel in Slack or direct message you all in Slack if you've signed up for that session. Be sure as you're working through your lesson materials, you make notes of things that don't make sense to you and bring those questions to your sessions. And don't be afraid of asking questions in your sessions, because I can guarantee you for every question you have, there are at least 3 other people in your group that are going to have that same question. So questions are a good thing. We want them, bring them to us. All right, so let's take a look at what those spreadsheets look like. This is the Google Sheets for Bestla. Don't be worried that there aren't names of mentors and times up yet. The mentors are still working on filling in their times for me. They're checking their schedules. There is a list of mentors' names in this first column where it says by appointment only. So if you're needing one-on-one time because mentor session schedules don't work for you, or you just want a little extra help on a topic, then you can Slack message any of these individuals and contact them to say, hey, let's set up a time. I need a little bit of help. But you've got the weeks, each week will be its own tab down here. So just be sure that you have the right week selected. And of course, the dates will be across the top too, just to kind of confirm that you're on the right page. And then you just put your names in these fields here to be able to sign up for the particular session. Borr, same kind of thing. As you can see, we've got mentors' start times for their session in Eastern and Pacific time, the mentor's name, the day that they'll be meeting. Here are your by appointment only mentors, and then you'll sign up with your names in the white section here. Questions about spreadsheets or anything up to this point so far? Good. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I have a question.
Sure.
Let's say because we live in different time zones. So let's say it starts from 6 up to 8, for example, but available from 7 to 8. Is that okay?
So you'll need to make sure that your coinciding with the time that they are. So like, for example, Jeremy's got his on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. So if you're in Chicago time, is that Central, right? Chicago Central time?
Yes, Central.
Yeah. Okay. So then you would have to be available from 5 to 6 p.m. your time in order to be joining Jeremy's session when he's holding it starting at 6 o'clock Eastern. So for those of you in Central and Mountain time zones, then you'll kind of have to either subtract one or add one to be able to make it make sense for when your start time is. But just pay attention to the time that's underneath, and that's the start time in Eastern and in Pacific times. Does that help answer your question, Tamam?
Yeah, I just mean like if I'm available like half an hour, let's say like the end of the session, is that okay? Or I have to be there for 2 hours?
Preferably be there for the full hour. So arrive at the start time and stay there for the full hour. But, you know, we understand things come up. So if you have to hop in or hop out, just let the mentor know I need to join late because my shift's running late, or I need to leave early because I've got an appointment or something like that. So just make your mentor aware if you're going to be coming late or leaving early. So that way they can be aware. Awesome.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so that covers everything as far as sessions. Oh, to be able to join your sessions, I'll be adding a link at the top left. I need to be able to create the recurring meetings, but I'll add the link for your class in the top left corner here. So that way, all you have to do is just click on the link if you have this open, and it'll go ahead and connect you to the Zoom call for the mentor sessions. If you aren't in there, we've got links for being able to connect to your mentor sessions all over the place. A lot of times mentors will post it when they post to say their mentor session is starting. There'll be a pinned message at the top of your class channel in Slack that you can click there. You can also, you know, save and bookmark it somewhere, whatever's easiest for you, but there's going to be plenty of locations to find that link when you need to get to it, when you're ready to start your mentor session. Okay. So moving on to community, let's talk about these Slack channels that you've been hearing me talk about. So if anybody's unfamiliar with Slack, then here is what it looks like. You can get a dashboard, like a desktop dashboard. You can also get an app for your phone, and you can set up your notifications to alert you whenever there's new messages in your channels. There's lots of sort of individual settings that you can adjust as needed. One thing that I do ask is when we add you to Slack and you're creating your profile, please put your class name at the end of your name. And the way you'll do that is you can go to your profile. Here we go, profile. And then edit your profile. And so put your name somewhere in here. I'm sorry, Asteroid is an old class, Bestla or Borr. Put that in there. It just helps me help you quicker if I know which class you're in. So it's more helpful to me if you've got your name somewhere in there, so that way I know which class you're with. And then just, you know, save your changes in that way. It'll have the class name at the end of your name for your display name. So a direct message, you can start with an individual person, and it works very much like text messaging, where you just kind of put in your message, hit send, and the person can read it and back and forth, that kind of a thing. The class channels that I'm talking about are going to be the ones that are here. So Bestla announcements is going to be your class channel. I'll have all of the very first post will be links to everything that you could possibly need. Links to your class dashboard, links to Team Treehouse, links to your mentor sessions, link to your mentor sessions sign-up sheet. All of that stuff I will put as your very first post, and then I'll pin it. So for example, our Sparrow class, which is our advanced class that's going right now, you'll see one pinned underneath the class channel name. And when you click on that one pinned, then it has all of their links for their class right there. That very same thing will be available in your announcements class. So the Bestla announcements and the Borr announcements channels will have that pinned item, so that way you can easily access your links there. The announcements channels are primarily just for us to let you know when things are happening. So it's the start of a new week, here are your links to your lessons, or it's Monday, here's your link for your mentor session sign-up sheet. If we're going to have closures for holidays or things like that, all of that information will post in your announcements channel. And then the discussion channel is where you'll really want to be able to monitor closely and post if you have questions about the curriculum. So I'm stuck on lesson 3.2, I'm confused, is anybody available to meet and we can work on it together, or things like that. So anything about the actual curriculum content, go ahead and share in discussion. And then announcements would just be if there are events that we're inviting you to that you'd like to attend for, you know, mock interview information or things like that. And then discussion is for you to be able to talk about what you're learning about more specifically. We're also going to have this channel, the Bestla and Borr outlet. That's going to be just for all of you students, regardless of whether you're in Bestla or Borr, and it's going to be just students in that channel. So that way you all can use that as a coffee shop too, if you want, and just kind of get to know each other a little bit more, or, you know, share your frustrations over a difficult lesson, or celebrate with each other when you finally got a concept that you were struggling with, anything like that. So the Bestla and Borr outlet channel is going to be for that. Questions about Slack at all? You'll be getting invites to the Slack workspace this coming week. So when you get those, you just accept, you create your profile, and I will already have added you to the channels that you need to be added to. The channels that you'll be in will be announcements and discussion for your class. It'll be the Bestla and Borr outlet, so you can reach out to your other students. And you'll also be in a general channel that just lets you know if we have any kind of like closings at Code the Dream or things like that, as well as an all students convo channel, which has all of the active students regardless of what class they're in. So students that are taking the React class right now, or that are taking the Node class in June, they'll all be in the all student convo channel together. It sounded like somebody had unmuted. Was there a question out there?
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah.
I just want to ask if like, do we have to, like, is it mandatory to interact there on Slack, or we can just like use it like to see some announcements and stuff?
Yeah, no, you don't need to interact. You don't have to be social if you don't want to be social. That's perfectly fine. Since everybody's spread out, we just wanted to be able to make sure that students had an avenue to connect socially if they needed or wanted to, because sometimes it's difficult to feel like you're out an island unto yourself learning all of this heavy content and don't have anybody else to kind of appreciate the struggle you might be going through. So you don't have to, but it's there if you want it. Okay. So our very last part, final project. So the final project is being built during weeks 6 through 16 of your class. And we do final presentation nights at the end. Typically they're either Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday after the last day of class. So it'd be September 14th, 15th, 16th. As we get closer to that final date, I'll poll you all to see on the 14th, 15th, and 16th what times those days work best for you all. And we'll schedule the sessions for whatever times work for the majority of students. So that way you'll be able to share your final project that you built. All right, real briefly, I just want to talk about Code the Dream culture. We are a very inclusive and family feeling organization, and we're very focused on having discrimination-free, harassment-free environments. We really want everybody to be accepting and professional and respectful of all of the different differences that everybody brings to the table. So we ask that everybody conduct themselves in a professional manner. No discrimination, no harassment. If you're witnessing that between people, please let us know. If you are a victim of it, please let us know, so that way we can address it, because we don't have any tolerance for any kind of discriminatory or inappropriate situations. It's hard enough to learn and get through life. We don't need any additional challenges put in our students' way. In the event of any emergencies, we have let mentors know what to do if an emergency arises while they're on a mentor session call with students. So the mentor will handle things. They might direct one of you students to do something for them, like, hey, can you hop on the website and find, you know, Lori's email address or something. So they'll give you directions if need be. But we don't anticipate any emergencies, but it's always good to plan for them just in case, because you never know what happens in life. So let's talk about some helpful tips for learning. Be inclusive. This is a very judgment-free zone. We want students to feel welcome and supported and appreciated. There are a range of backgrounds and experience levels and ages and all kinds of things within your group. It's a very big melting pot here at Code the Dream. So please be very respectful and patient and cooperative with each other. We always ask that you think before you speak. Think stands for, is what I'm about to say true, helpful, inspiring, necessary, and kind. So just keep that in mind. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Questions are a wonderful thing. If you fall behind, or if you're working ahead and need any additional assistance outside of sort of the norm of the class, then just contact me and I can help you navigate that process. Excuse me, if you fall terribly far behind, talk to me so that way we can devise the plan to be able to kind of keep you on your coding journey. Note any questions while you're covering your lesson materials. Be sure that you're bringing those questions to your mentor sessions. Don't skip out on mentor sessions because you are unprepared or underprepared. So if you know that you are 2 weeks behind and you feel like I'm not going to join this mentor session because it's going to be talking about things I don't know, if you're able to, go ahead and join anyway, because some of the things that they talk about might either be review that will help you with where you're at in your learning journey, or it can give you kind of a preview of what's ahead. So that way you can time manage better or make sure that you're understanding a concept really well, because it was like, I didn't understand what they were talking about in that mentor session. I need to know that I understand this in order to get there. Be sure to make a plan for yourself as far as carving out blocks of time when you'll be able to sit and focus on your work. A nice quiet place is always good. Don't wait to get help. If you've worked for 30 minutes or an hour on a problem and you can't solve it and you haven't made any progress, either step away for a little bit and come back to it. Sometimes that's enough to kind of help you see the issue and realize where your mistake was, or reach out to somebody and be like, hey, I'm struggling. I'm not getting this. Can somebody help? You're not limited to just the mentor session, so feel free to meet with other students in sort of a study hall kind of environment and talk through lessons or questions together. And then lessons build on each other, as I mentioned earlier. So be sure that you're understanding your content of each week before you tackle the next one. Kimberly had asked about mentor sessions are not one-on-one. So mentor sessions that are the scheduled time slots that you saw on that sheet will be several people together on that mentor session, but you can contact the mentors that were in that first column that are by appointment only mentors for a one-on-one if you need or want to. So typically it is a group session, but you can reach out to mentors for one-on-one time if that would be preferable for you, or if you need it that week or whatever. Okay, so next steps. Watch your email for Team Treehouse invitation for Bestla students. Keep an eye out for your Slack workspace invitations. I'll be putting links, this recording, and a bunch of other goodies in that email. So just keep an eye out for that email this coming week. Things to do before the first day of class. If you want to, you can set up your GitHub and Replit accounts prior to the class, or you can tackle it once class starts next Wednesday. Feel free to preview the class website, learn.codethedream.org. That'll give you a good overview of what you're learning in what order. Once you have accepted your Slack workspace invitation, then check Slack class announcements on Monday, May 23rd. That will have your link to your mentor session sign-up sheet. And just get ready to have fun, work hard, and you're going to be learning. The 16 weeks will fly by. You will be surprised. Somebody asked about mentor sessions, if they're recorded. They are not typically recorded. If mentors want to record their session, if they feel all the students in their session are comfortable with that, then I can provide them with a key so that they can record their session and then share it. But typically mentor sessions are not recorded. That's why it can be helpful to arrive and stay for the full time, arrive on time and stay for the full time for your mentor sessions. So after class, so next steps, once we get rolling with our week-to-week lessons, about halfway to 2/3 of the way through the class, we'll have a Zoom call to be able to talk to you about front end versus back end versus full stack. So you can decide what advanced class you might like to take once intro class wraps up. Your final projects will be evaluated the week after your class ends. So September 14th to the 20th, 21st. And we'll let you know which advanced class you are in. Or if you need to do a little bit more work to get your intro concepts up to the level that they need to be able to be successful in the advanced classes. All of our advanced classes are very similar format and structure this one, as far as like you have a class website, lesson materials, coding assignments that you do each week, a mindset assignment that you do each week, all that kind of good stuff. And you'll have an orientation before the advanced class as well. You do not have to apply for the advanced classes. If you only want to learn the intro content, that's perfectly fine. I will say you won't necessarily be able to get into an entry-level job position with only intro concepts. If you're wanting to really break into the industry, an advanced class and the practicum that follows that advanced class where you get to work on a development team is going to be your best bet before you start applying for tech jobs. If you need help at any point throughout the class, turn to your mentors for help on class materials, the lesson materials, talk to them during sessions, reach out to them on Slack, post in your Slack discussion channel to help each other out. And if you have any sort of structural program questions as far as what do I do next, or I fell behind, or I'm working ahead, what does my path look like now? If you have any issues that you run into with any kind of harassment or anything like that, contact myself or Lori Kamala, our program director. And all right, that covers all the content. I'm sorry I ran over on time, guys, but go ahead and fire those questions off, unmute and ask if you'd like to, pop them up in the chat, whatever you'd like to do. If you feel like you've gotten everything that you need to start your class right now, then thank you for joining. You can hop off the call. I will continue the recording. So if you want to go back and take a look at the questions now later, then you can do that too. But thanks anybody that's hopping off. Thank you for coming tonight. And feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions this week. Thanks, Samantha. Have a good one. Thanks,
thank
Alex.
you. So if we have a question, we can ask now.
Yeah, absolutely. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I just wonder if there's a way, like just like a shortcut or something, because like I know JavaScript, and like recently I've been taking some refreshers, like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and everything. And even I got the assignment for the advanced course. Like I got it done with the actually not like it was like very advanced, but I got the website working and everything.
Okay.
So like, is there a way to, like, as I said, just the shortcut? And
yeah,
no,
you can definitely work ahead through the class. So in our last intro iteration, we had 4 students that were kind of in a similar position, it sounds like, to where you were at, Tamam. And so I think it was maybe 4 to 6 weeks. They were able to work through all of the course content, turn in their final projects. We reviewed it. And that time frame lined up with when we started our current advanced classes. So they were able to hop into those. The tricky part about just timeline wise where we're at right now. So even if you were to work on the intro material and get it done early, there's only about a 2-week gap between when your all's class starts and when our next advanced classes start. But it could be too that you would be okay starting the advanced classes a week or 2 late and still be able to catch up fine. So I would say focus on covering the content. Obviously, you aren't going to have the time to be able to watch like 6 hours of videos every week for the course between now and when you need to be completed with your final project. So I would say focus on your coding assignments, make sure that everything is making sense to you, and work on building that final project. If you're already solid on your JavaScript basics, then start with the GitHub lesson week 6 and work through from there. And then when you're done with your final project, just let me know, and I'll take a look to see when our advanced classes are and see where we can fit you in. Questions from, did that answer everything, Tamam?
Yeah, thank you. And I think I can send you some email, just like reminder, or we can
Perfect.
talk about this case.
Yes.
And
yeah.
then, just another question about the apprenticeship. Is like a contract or something? Like, let's say if I start the apprenticeship later, and like after a couple of months, I get like some other job. Is that okay or no?
The apprenticeship, we do have a 9-month minimum requirement. So if you agree to sign on as an apprentice with the CTD lab side of our organization, then you do have to plan to be committing 40 hours a week for 9 months with our dev shop side before you'll start looking for other jobs. So that is something to be aware of.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Alex had a question in our chat. When are the next 2 advanced classes? So we do have a React and a Node class starting June 8th. Those were the classes that other applicants were applying for of the advanced level during that application period that you all were completing applications. So it's a really short window for people to try and get their intro work done early and jump into those. The next advanced classes after those June 8th ones won't be until October 12th. The classes that we'll offer on October 12th will be all 3 of our advanced classes. So a Node.js Express class, a React class, and a Ruby on Rails class. Hopefully that helps answer. The advanced classes that follow this intro, you will have a 4-week gap between when your final project is due and when your advanced class starts. Hopefully that helps answer that portion. The salary range for being an apprentice, it starts at $2,000 a month. So it's really more just a stipend rather than a salary. And it's enough to be able to kind of cover very, very minimal living expenses, basically, is the situation. So be sure that you're considering that and thinking about that and whether or not that's something that is doable for your financial situation or your living circumstances, as to whether or not that's something that you can commit to, is 40 hours a week for $2,000 a month. So keep that in mind. After the intro class, the advanced class opens for me, or I have to apply. So based on how your final project is, if your final project meets all the requirements and it appears that you are comfortable and confident with the material that we cover in the intro class, then you will automatically be accepted into one of the advanced classes, and you can let us know which one you prefer. When we have that front end, back end conversation call about half or 2/3 of the way through the class, then we'll be able to answer those questions a little bit more fully as far as which class should I take. That's the big question that we answer during that. So hopefully that helps, Marianne. You kind of have to apply, but you're not going to do a pre-work. You're not going to do a full-on application like you did with this process for getting into the advanced class after the intro level class. Any other questions out there? What happens if you're not ready for the advanced class? That's a great question, Kimberly. Thank you for sharing that. So at the end of your intro class, usually people fall into one of two categories if they don't meet the expectation to be able to advance into the advanced class. Either you only have a couple of things that you need to work on, and since we have a 4-week gap between when your intro class ends and when your advanced classes start, then we'll give you feedback saying, everything looks good except this part and this part. You just need to work on that, make sure you understand how it's working and get your code working the way it should. And so you'll have that time frame to make those corrections and still start the advanced classes. If it seems like you're missing a lot of marks and you would benefit more from retaking the intro class, then we will make that recommendation. And you can retake the class at that point to be able to go through the intro class again and really solidify those concepts. So that way you're going into an advanced class with a good foundation of the knowledge that you need to be successful in the advanced class. One other thing I wanted to note that helped remind me. So we do have another intro class that'll be starting July 20th. So if you're getting 5 or 6 weeks into this class and you're like, wow, this is really overwhelming, I feel like I'm not absorbing this material, or life is getting in the way and I don't have the time to be able to devote to this class that I need to right now, and so I'm not understanding what I need to, you can start over with that July 20th class. But I need to be aware of that, so that way I know to account for how many students will be retaking that class on July 20th. So in the first 6-7 weeks of this class, if you feel like you're really far behind and you just want to review all of those beginning weeks again, and you want to restart the intro class, just send me a message, talk to me, and we'll work through what your next steps are for being able to retake intro when you're halfway through this current class that you're in. Any other questions out there? Thanks, Kimberly. All right. Well, thanks everybody again for joining tonight. Feel free to hop off if you're done. I'll still stick around till the very, very end in case there are any other questions. But thanks again for coming tonight.
Yeah, another question about the apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what company we would be working for? Or like, is there several companies or just like one option?
So the apprenticeship is with Code the Dream. So it's our nonprofit organization, and we have a dev shop side, the CTD Labs. All of the projects that we work on there are usually social justice oriented. So it'll be things that like help victims of domestic violence. It helps migrant farm workers. There are different clients that we bring on that we're building sites and apps for. So you would be working on one of those real world projects that we've screened and selected. It's a smaller dev shop. So it's not a huge company like working for Google or Airbnb or anything like that. For the apprenticeship, then there are fewer people that we need because we're a smaller dev shop than a larger company. We don't currently have relationships in place, but we are working on building partnerships with Cisco and with SAS, I believe, are the two that we're in the process of negotiations, where students who are completed with our program, take our apprenticeship and work through that process can then funnel into either entry-level positions with them or funnel into internship programs with them. I think we're going to be trying to build relationships so that graduates that don't go through our apprenticeship first but are done with our classes might also be able to funnel into those programs. So it's something that we're working on and building out, but we don't have those in place yet. Hopefully, since intro class ends in September, hopefully we'll have some relationships like that built up end of this year, beginning of next year. So as you're finishing your advanced classes that come off of this intro class, then you'll be in a better alignment to benefit from those relationships that we're working on building.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. And like, what should we expect after the apprenticeship? Like, then is there some like any other support, or like you connect us with some other companies, or no, like we go on our own way?
No, so for the last several months of your apprenticeship, then we work more intensively with our apprentices that have already been working with us in our Code the Dream lab side to be able to help find good placement for you. So it is a little bit more hands-on job search and outreach to be able to get you placed into another organization or another company. Yep. Good questions.
Okay, great. I don't have any other questions. I know
That's fine.
I
If you
asked
think
too
of other
much.
things, no, you're fine. I love questions. I love questions. People can bring any questions they want to me. If you think of anything else, then just email me or anything. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Have a good day, and I'll send you an email about my case.
Yep,
and
that
that's
sounds
for me.
perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
Wonderful. Thanks, Mom. Have a good night. Any other questions from anybody else that's still on the call? And if you don't feel like unmuting, or if you can't unmute to ask, then feel free to pop them up in the chat too. I've been keeping an eye on that as well.